We are live, ladies and gentlemen. NXT Halloween Havoc 2024. The review for you, where Trick Williams defeated Ethan Page in Devil's Playground. We also got ourselves potentially a Bully Ray match in the ECW arena, it looks like, in a couple of weeks. That's going to be a nice, exciting talking point. As well as that, Tony D'Angelo retaining the NXT North American Championship against Oba Femi in the Tables, Ladders, and Scares match. We've got a brand new Women's North American Champion in Fallon Henley. Rich Holland is someone that won the ambulance match. And of course, well, Roxanne Perez, the NXT Women's Champion, was pinned in the tag team match, of course, by Stephanie Vaqour. Your overall thoughts of NXT Halloween Havoc 2024?
Really good show overall. It starts well and it ends well. It's a bit okay in the middle, but otherwise it's a thoroughly entertaining show, and I think there's something on there for everyone.
Yeah, I think there's good variety. I like the fact with this show. I always felt this show was, I must say, fairly predictable, because I didn't get every result right, but some of them you had an idea of where it was going, and I think that adding the stipulation matches made it a bit more fun. I think this show would have been perhaps a bit more lackluster had you not had, say, Trick Williams versus Ethan Page in a Devil's Playground match. It's been another singles match, but we've seen this a number of times now, so it wouldn't have been as exciting to watch. So for that reason, I do feel like that this show gets a higher grade for that reason. But we're going to dive into it as we go through anyway. I mean, we've got a few matches we're going to talk about, and get involved with your thoughts as well in the comments below, also with Halloween Havoc NXT if you are watching live. But first off, let's start with Tony D'Angelo versus Oba Femi. Interesting notes at the start of this match was the fact that Tony D'Angelo didn't want this to be where he could actually climb the ladder and grab the title. He wanted a pinfall submission involved in this. He interrupted Mike Rome as well, went with the in-ring productions to get the match going. He did the Roman Reigns barricade spot within the first 60 seconds of the match. Tony D was making this a hot start for this match between these guys.
Yeah, they went hard and went straight to violence. Like, literally, weapons were out instantly. Like, we had chairs out straight away, we had tables out straight away. They went for it, and I think, do you know what I mean? I think I'm glad to see that someone actually did that, because ultimately this is what we're waiting for. It's a tables, ladders, and chairs match, essentially. Don't beat around the bush, and they just went for it. Like I said, we talked about it in the predictions, the fact that it was going to be a case of climbing the ladder, and the fact that they didn't do that, for me, it does kind of take away from it, because I think you can miss some decent story beats with someone climbing the ladder. But dude, I'm okay with them changing it for this one. Do you know what I mean? This one time, I suppose.
Yeah, I think for me, it actually added a different layer to the match, because all of a sudden then, well, hang on. I thought that this made this match like, oh, they've done it so Oba doesn't get pinned, therefore he's protected. Then you think, well, hang on, is Oba getting pinned again here? And is Tony D losing the title soon? So actually it threw an element of doubt into the match, which I kind of liked. And of course, eventually we did get some more brutal spots that kicked into the match as well. Of course, you got your ladders, you got your tables, you got your chair spots coming into this one as well, obviously. I mean, Tony D went hard for a table at one point. It felt like it was just like an uppercut.
That European uppercut was phenomenal.
That was creme de la creme for me. And obviously they came to a point then when Tony D was actually tied up to the ring apron. Obviously had like a tie that tied him, and cable tie. And that was a point where Obi looked like he was just going to dominate the match. But that's when the rest of the Tony D'Angelo family came out to make the save. Initially it was just Ariana Rizzo, and of course she was intimidated massively by Oba Femi, to the point that Tony did have enough time to break free. Both of them were standing on the apron, and Tony actually managed to spear, did a Big E form of spear, going through the ropes and sending someone from the apron to the floor. But Femi went through a ladder instead. It was a very vicious looking spot again.
Yeah, I mean, the ending of this match really, do you know what I mean? I think, like you were saying, going back to the fact that if it was going to be a ladder match, it was kind of protecting Oba Femi. I think the ending to this match kind of protects them as well. But yeah, just to go on about that spot, dude, it's a great spot. And again, like I said, they didn't really let off, even when like Lucas and Stacks come down. Like, Oba still manages to get some offense in, still makes him look strong, and like how they finish it, like I said, it really still protects Oba and still makes him look like a beast for this.
Certainly does, and obviously, like we said, Stax and Luca then come out there as well, and obviously, it looks like he's still going to be taking advantage of Femi. He seems to have the 1-on-4 advantage. The Angelo family needed more people at one point. It felt like, however, there was a moment there when obviously the crowbar shot was hit from Rizzo. To the back of Femi. That's when also then we saw a chair shot as well from Luca. Then we saw a shatter machine done with Luca and Stax with the chair being involved as well. And to finish off, then Femi was put through a spine buster through the table, of course, from Tony D'Angelo for the victory. All in all, I thought this was a really strong opener. I thought it was really fun. I would have thought Tony wanted to do it alone, but I felt that this was the right way to do it because it protected Oba, as you mentioned a moment ago, 4-1 advantage. We discussed on the preview about the idea of Oba having a faction as well in the future. Obviously, if he's starting rumblings backstage, doing this and actually now realizing I'm outnumbered here and this is the only time I lose. If he gets back up now, booked after this show going forward, I think that will take Femi to another level personally. I mean, obviously, we suggested the idea of Nikita Lyons and, of course, the new tag team of Tyson and Tyreek as well, joining alongside Femi. And I think that's something we could look forward to seeing potentially in the future. Maybe defeating the family as well before moving on to bigger and better things, because for me, Oba should come away from the North American Championship scene. I think it's time for him to get into the Iron Survivor Challenge deadline and start walking away towards the NXT Championship.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably favourite at this moment to win that. But I don't know, like the fact that Oba can quietly walk away and say, look, it took 4 of you to beat me. My eyes are now set on a bigger prize and a bigger goal. Maybe they don't need to carry this on. But I mean, they hint to the fact that Rizzo is going to be having a match on Tuesday night with the person who took her out, which, again, if you go from last week's NXT, it looks like it may have been Nikita Lyons, which again might play into this whole fact, this 4v4 dynamic that they're going to have, but it should be interesting either way.
Seeds were planted on that last NXT, so you feel like there could be something continuing here with maybe Oba getting the faction win at the end. It feels potentially maybe, but one thing's for sure. Yeah, I agree with Pierre. By the way, I tell you, he's the next monster of WWE for sure. And some many great match suggestions here from Pierre as well. By the way, Braun Strowman, Braun Breaker, Gunther, Bronson Reed. I mean, Brock Lesnar if he ever returns, but I don't know if that last one will happen. But certainly, all would be great matches to see. Yeah,
Femi versus Keith Lee.
Oh yeah. I'll give me all of it. Give me all of it. Star rating for that opening match then.
Dude, I went high with this. I went with a 3 3/4.
That's solid. So I mean, it's a really good match. I really, for me, 3.5. I really, really, really enjoyed it. It was a great start to the show. Next was the tag team match. Then we had Giulia and Stephanie Vaqour against Cora, Jade, and Roxanne Perez. Of course, they were twinning up with the outfits, and I didn't realize what they were doing when I was watching the show. But afterwards, they were doing a cutback to The Shining.
Oh, really? Oh, the twins from The Shining. Okay. I thought they were both supposed to be Little Bo Peep, and they hadn't communicated with each other what they were going with as for Halloween.
To be fair, that could be the alternative attire for them if that happened next. But yeah, I mean, again, a really strong match. Really enjoyed this with the ladies. I thought they did a really good job. There's one point Roxanne Perez took a dragon screw from Stephanie Vaqour, and to be fair, like it looked like that Roxy was favoring the leg a little bit. I just thought it was really well executed when I watched it. I was like, damn, these two just nailed that perfectly. And all of a sudden it was like, yeah, she's hobbling a little bit, which is not the best look, but great match still. And the finish, obviously, Roxanne does get pinned eventually. Superplex off the top, and then what looks to be some form of corkscrew moonsault from Stephanie Vaqour, which was really impressive way to get the pinfall victory. Vaqour, of course, then being the one to pin Roxanne, imagines that she's the one next to get a one-on-one championship opportunity against Roxanne. And probably the other note of the match that we need to probably remember is that Roxanne was trying to get out of the ring at one point, and Cora Jade was not on the ring apron, which I think could lead into that friction that we teased about in the predictions.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's a case of that every single one of these people is going to get a match against Roxanne before it's going to inevitably end up in a fatal 4-way. Like, I think Vaqour is going to get a match. Roxanne will somehow retain, again, via Cora Jade. That will probably then give Cora Jade the precipice to then challenge Roxanne Perez, to which Vaqour and Giulia will then cost Cora Jade the chance of winning that title. And I think, like I said, ultimately, it's just going to lead to a fatal 4-way between these four for that title.
Certainly, especially as I thought that I mean, we did see Zarya. She did appear briefly. There is the opportunity potentially of that deadline Iron Survivor challenge with all 5 of them in there, but she does appear again later in the show as well.
Would do, but it takes her 2 matches to get from the rafters down to the ringside. Apparently,
she's got the pace of the Undertaker. It's fine.
Doesn't know the building layout. Apparently.
No, definitely not. But she definitely looks like a beast anyway. She certainly had a few power moves later in the show. Pierre, love this comment, by the way. Totally agree. Love Roxanne and Perez as a heel. When she first turned heel, I was like, but she's like the perfect baby face. I was wondering how she would actually adapt. For me, it's been like a duck to water. She's been amazing as a heel.
Yeah, I've actually preferred her more as a heel than a baby face. I mean, she does have the ability to play both the roles, but I obviously, again, you wouldn't have expected how good of a heel for her to play until she actually does it. So she's going to be a very, very valuable asset when she comes up to the main roster. I'm presuming next year that she's coming up.
Yeah, I think next year is her year, and I think, like you say, she can play both roles however you need her to play it. So I think her future's bright in WWE. I really, really do.
Yeah. It's a really, like I said, it's a really hard thing to do, to be able to pull off both a heel and a convincing baby face as well. And I think she's got the capabilities to do it. So she should go really far when she gets called up.
Should do indeed. What'll be your star rating for the tag team match for another solid one?
Dude, I went for a 3 on this one. Like I said, I think it was really good. It's just like, it's not the match that I'm wanting. That's the problem I think I had with it. Ultimately, it's like I want that women's championship match, and it's kind of, we're just on the slow build to that, really. But otherwise, it's a really good, really solid match.
It is indeed. I've gone for 3.5 again. I again really enjoyed this, but I think what stops this potentially being match of the night, I think it's the positioning on the card. I get why WWE have done what they've done because they showed it with Zarya later in the show, but this match should have been the match before the main event. It shouldn't have been second on the show. It should have been match 4, and match 4 should have been match 2 for me. But that's just a nit if I'm going to nitpick. And when it comes to nitpicking, I might nitpick again when it comes to the ambulance match, because I don't know if I like ambulance matches, if I'm going to be honest. NXT, I find it obviously very one-dimensional. But obviously, Andre Chase did get a bit of revenge. It felt on Ridge Holland as well at one point, obviously doing the spot that was done to him on the table. It looked like eventually he was going to get Ridge inside of the ambulance before, of course, there was a moment where the eye was gouged, and it took a couple of goes to get there for Ridge to do so. Before then, the ambulance door was put straight into the head of Andre Chase. He was then almost going to be swing shot into the bottom of the door. That actually looked brutal, to be fair. And then, of course, Ridge hit his finisher on the concrete floor as well before putting Andre Chase into the ambulance. I had predicted that we would get a comeback in the rest of Chase U and Andre Chase would win, but I suppose after the first match with Tony D's family all getting involved, it would have been a bit copy and paste had they done it twice in the same night and within the same hour. So Ridge Holland winning clearly made the most sense here.
Yeah, I mean, dude, again, that's why I predicted. I think Ridge needed it more, if honest. There was a couple of things I liked. One, Ridge Holland's new music sounds pretty good. I'm kind of like that. His mask, however, does ultimately suck. I like the fact that they went with the old school retro ambulance. I kind of like that aesthetic as well. I was like, I'm glad that they didn't wheel out like a modern day ambulance and they actually went above board and paid for it and like tried to make the idea of Halloween Havoc feel special with how they set up the stage. Other than that, this match it doesn't do anything to make it stand out on the card, and the other thing as well is it doesn't make itself stand out to be anything special about it being an ambulance match. Like I think Vic Joe so yeah, is it Vic? No, it's not Vic Joseph, is it? It's
yeah.
Is it Vic Joseph? Yeah. I think he says WWE have only ever done like 8 in their entire history. And it's like, this doesn't stand out from any of the others, unfortunately. And I think that's the biggest let for. But otherwise, it is a fun and entertaining match. But the problem is, I think they faffed about with that gurney too much. Like, they've got this retro ambulance, and yet a gurney from 2024 didn't kind of make sense. And they spent too much time messing about with it, pushing it into each other, which it just kind of almost dragged it on too much.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the match dragged in places, to be honest. I thought it was better from the second half of the match. But yeah, all in all, this was okay. And like you said, Ridgick helps him out. I think he's going to go to the next level. Clearly, he's already going to the next level, judging by the end of the show, which we'll touch on in a couple of seconds' time. Obviously, he said he was going to move on to bigger and better things. And he interrupts Bully Ray on 2 occasions while him and Dave Lagara are discussing during the show, once on the pre-show, once on the main show. Bully took exception the second time it happened. And of course, Bully and Ridge will be mentioned after the main event. But yeah, Ridge, I will just say quickly, yeah, I think it looks like he's going for the NXT title picture, which is great to see. Wouldn't be surprised to see him in the Iron Survivor Challenge in December at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see who's in it because, like I said, from the after last night, you're going to have like Ethan Page, you're going to have Ridge Holland, you're going to have Oba Femi, so you got to throw a couple of others in there. So it's going to be fun to see who they put in it.
Absolutely. And the thing is as well, if you continue with a babyface champion, how many babyfaces do you put in the Iron Survivor Challenge? Because I think Wesley's got a shout of wanting to be in there as well. So maybe Javon Evans, maybe that rounds off the field. I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do and how they do it. But match number 4 was a gauntlet match. And excuse me. Kelani Jordan, obviously it was the spinner's choice. I suggested a handicap match. Why did I not think of Gauntlet? It's the same thing, made much more sense. It just it just seemed obvious now. Should have got it right. Jasmine Nix got the first crack at Kelani Jordan, but Jordan did overcome her, then overcome JC Jane. But then when it came to Fallon Henley, Fallon got the job done. But of course, it still was with the help of the other members of the Fatal Influence. I'm just going to say very quickly, and I think you have the same nitpick with this. Fatal Influence for me didn't seem the strongest booked in this match personally.
Dude, this was my biggest problem, is the fact that it doesn't make sense from a heel standpoint. If it's a 3-on-1 match, why are all 3 of the competitors at the back? They should all be ringside to make the most of the second that one of them gets pinned. If it does happen, the second person can jump in straight away, which, to be fair, Fallon makes up for because she is out there like a whippet in that after that second pinfall. But also, there's no heelish moves between the pinfalls. Like, we get one attack from JC, I think, after she's pinned. And that's it. Like, there's no... Like, you're supposed to be a heel faction, and you don't do nothing heelish. And ultimately, the right person wins. Like, for me, I think we both said that Fallon Henley was going to win this match. And it was the right thing to do. Fallon is fantastic. Like, her transition work in ring, her footwork is really good. Like, you can see how well she's improved since starting. Just dying quietly over it. But yeah, I just think it was the heels that were booked badly from a general perspective for the whole match.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the thing is, for me, my issue is that I thought in ring, everyone played their part and they played their part fairly well. Obviously, I think Kelani Jordan's a star waiting to happen. I think she's excellent in ring. I think that Jasmine Nix had a good showing. Obviously, her first opportunity on a PLE like this, and I thought what great exposure and experience she's probably gained from this. JC Jane obviously played the middle role and played that quite well. Fallon Henley, like you say, is a very credible second champion. The problem I had is, like you said, making the heels seem stronger, but also where's the storyline narrative throughout this match? Because Kelani Jordan's going through 3 people. She should get through the first and something should happen where she's hurt. She should then fight through that injury through the second and then struggle to make it through to the third. Look like she's going to do it and then have everybody cost her. Then it's sort of protected very well because it felt like Kelani Jordan was just having a WWE 2K marathon where nothing was stopped. It's just like, you felt like you could just copy and paste her into 3 different matches and she was not affected in none of them.
I can answer this. The fact is that she wasn't the story of this match. The story of this match was Zarya, because the idea was to have these 3 heels go and do over Kelani Jordan in this match. And then obviously we go into what happens afterward. Fallon gets on the mic. She's about to cut a promo. Zarya's music cuts again. She comes out. She absolutely destroys all 3 heels who have just obviously won that North American Championship. So, but for me, it's not convincing because you haven't booked the heels correctly. You haven't made the heel faction look heelish enough. You haven't made them look devastating. You haven't given them enough dirt or grit to make it look like this is the baddest faction in NXT. All you've done is just like I said, there was no heel stuff. All of them are out the back, but every time there's a pinfall, it just doesn't make sense. And then you're going to have Zarya to come in and destroy them all in 10 seconds. You failed at what you was trying to do, which was to make Zarya a bigger deal than what. Like, do you know what I mean? You were trying to build her up as a massive star, but you've not booked the heels correctly to do that.
Yeah, it almost feels like a mismatch. Like you just feel like
Yeah.
Zara's just going to take that title. I mean, if that's what she goes for,
Exactly.
she's going to have
Yeah.
that very quickly. It's not going to be hard work, but it also makes sense for that reason for the heels to take the championship because Kalani's had a good run with that title. There's no doubt about
She
it.
has.
First champion. She's built her stock. She's had some great matches along the way. Soul Rooker from Heatwave for me is going to be one I'm going to remember at the end of the year when it comes to doing our little award categories and stuff like that. Of going, this was a fantastic match, and I just think her stock has risen to the point that she's ready for the next thing in NXT now, and she's someone that I think could be someone that could actually get into the top tier and challenge for the title. I don't think she'd win against the people that are in there right now, but I certainly think she's someone that could be in the conversation, and it's time for her to go to the next step where certain other people now can have a crack and go in and have the experience with that champion. Fallon Henley is someone that's been long overdue an opportunity for singles championship, so I'm really pleased to see her hold some singles gold in NXT. All in all, I thought the match was just fine. I think like it could have been booked better, but all in all, happy with the result. Don't know if we gave star ratings for the ambulance match either. So star rating for the ambulance match.
I went with 2 3/4. I thought it was it was a good little fun match.
2 for me. And then the Gauntlet match.
Same again, 2 3/4. It did what it needed to do to get the title onto Fallon. The final match between those two was the best match, and that was the reason why I've scored it higher.
2.5 for me on that one. And I've got to say, Hershey, if you're listening, you were disappointing for me for a lot of the evening. The most over thing on this show for Hershey, Pennsylvania, was a pumpkin. I thought they were a terrible audience. Might as well say audience. I could hear one person at a time. It just disappointing. Very disappointing for an NXT sort of takeover style show as well. I want to hear that passion. I want to hear people into it and happy to be there. Didn't really feel that from Hershey. Almost as disappointing as the chocolate.
I see what you did there. It's almost like when we used to get the CM Punk chant. Like it was the most over thing the whole night. It was only the only spot that everyone wanted, and it was almost like they should have done it in the first match just to get it out of the way. But obviously, when you're doing Oba versus Tony, it's never going to happen. So unfortunately, it's something we had to grow with the whole night, and it almost ruins the momentum of the crowd for the whole night because it's the one thing that it's like anytime we have a TLC match, all people want is tables. It's like you get them eventually, but they persisted and badged on with it the whole night.
I can't wait for Spin the Wheel next year. Make a deal. The pumpkin and tables match. That's the thing that's going to get everybody happy.
Yeah.
Let's get a couple of comments in because we've not had the comments up for a few minutes now. So let's get them in. Pierre not really emotionally into Andre Chase and the Chase University. Honestly, the gimmick don't get me. I wasn't always into the Andre Chase University gimmick, but I do think they've had some fun moments over the last few years.
Andre Chase for me is going to be a character that's going to be really hard to transition over to main roster. Like the character at the minute kind of has its place, and that's all it's going to be. Whether it's on NXT, Raw, SmackDown, it doesn't feel like it's something like they're like what they've achieved in NXT. They're occasional tag team winners at the minute, and I'm like, I find it hard to see anywhere where Andre Chase goes on to be an Intercontinental or an IC champion or. Do you know what I mean? A Money in the Bank winner. Like with Duke Hudson, his persona before joining Chase U when he was like guy that plays poker was a lot cooler. And I think he was a bigger deal. And I think Chase U was a step down for him. Riley Osborne, I think it's great for him. It's a starting block for him. It's helping him develop his character work and getting him more TV time. Thea Hale for me is the most criminally underused one on it because when she had her whole thing with JC Jane and she changed her aesthetic and she went with the black ring gear, she looked really promising. And again, she's just taken a step back and she just seems to be in the same position she's been for the last year. And it's like you're waiting for that point where this faction ultimately breaks up and they just all go on to do different things.
To be fair, I don't argue with any of that. I do agree with how your analogies with all of them. The only thing I will say is, though, I do see one position for Andre Chase on main roster that can have him the most longevity of probably everybody. General manager.
Yeah, but like I get it because if you're going to have him, for instance, as like a dean or something, that kind of transitions over to a Raw general manager, SmackDown general manager. But it's like, is that what he wants from his career? He wants his career highlight to be Raw general manager. Do you know what I mean? And I find that hard to believe. And like, this is the problem when people get lumbered with these these characters that just like they don't have a very good transition. They don't transition well to main roster, and I think that's why some of them ultimately suffer.
Yeah, I think that's a fair reflection. I think that they will find a way though to have like a chase section in Raw and SmackDown crowds if they want to. And to be fair, when I think of Chase U, I think main event. That's where I think they spend most of their time, to be brutally honest. But I do think if he was ever being a GM role, I think he could have a lot of fun with it. And obviously, like he's don't come in there and talk to me like that. Give it a Chase U size ass whooping, and just all that sort of stuff could be quite fun. And obviously, the bleeping and the swearing and stuff, especially Netflix.
That's what I'm saying.
Nobody can away with stuff.
If they go back to the swearing stuff where like he's trying to hold a seminar and he starts cussing them all out, and especially if you're on Netflix and you can actually not have to bleep it out, I think it'd be fantastic and he'll get over majorly. But the problem is like that's a very one-trick pony again. Like he's stuck being guy that shouts at students. Do you know what I mean?
Or WWE superstars. But yeah, I think his GM day, if it happened, would be certainly a while away. Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis, I don't think are going anywhere anytime soon. Hassan, hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're keeping well. Pierce says that Fatal Influence music is a banger, one of the best from Def Rebel has ever made. I think it's a good tune, actually. It's not bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to listen to all Def Rebel's catalog. I'm sure they've got 3 or 4 that are maybe better than it.
Maybe they do. Zoe, of course, having a sight on the Women's North American Championship, feel like Fallon Henley will be a transitional champion. It does get that feeling, doesn't it? It certainly does.
Numbers game, I say, is going to be the only saving factor as to why Fallon Henley's reign might last longer.
At least you might get to the deadline. That's all. But there probably is a deadline on that title run, that's for sure. Main event time then. Trick Williams defeating Ethan Page in the Devil's Playground match. Of course, Ethan Page did make Trick Williams taste his own blood as well. He was checked on as well by EMTs if he would be able to continue or not. There was a moment as well where we did see the Ego's Edge done from the top of the stairs through the table. That pinfall was done far too quickly for me. Let it breathe. Let it breathe. Protects the finisher, especially when Trick is kicking out with 2 as well. But I imagine that's a timing issue, not a story issue and creative issue from the wrestlers involved. But of course, this does get back into the ring. And of course, look, Ethan Page was telling Trick when he was down, look, you should have put me away when you could do. But of course, Ethan being his own worst enemy, because he should have been putting Trick away at that particular moment as well, after doing that scoop slam onto the corner of the steel steps. But of course, Trick did find his way back into the match, hit that running knee that he does, and picked up the victory in the Devil's Playground. Trick Williams is still your NXT champion.
Dude, this, for me, could have gone so much longer. I think this is the biggest problem with this. Is like this match, I think, deserved 10 more minutes. Like, did you mention the pinfall, like the foot on the rope pinfall? Like Paige puts his arm. Right, let me just run through some of the notes that I have quickly for it. So I initially had Paige calling out Vic Joseph as a dumbass because he's wearing that suit with the pumpkins. Great character work for Ethan Page. That was great. The crowd finally get their pumpkin shot, followed by a whoop that pumpkin chant, so that's always fantastic. There's a moment where Trick goes for a pinfall on Page. Page puts his foot on the rope. The ref stops because he sees the foot on the rope, but then goes to count again because I think it's like the ref almost forgot the rules to the match. So I don't know if that was a story beat or if that was just generally a mess up there. The nuts and bolts instead of the thumbtacks, I thought was a bit of a strange alternative for the bag, which I thought was okay, I guess. Like, either way, it's going to suck landing on them. The Ego's Edge through the table was through the commentary table, I thought was great. Page, again, when he realized Trick was bleeding from the mouth on the outside of the ring, again, great character work for Ethan Page. He's done, like Vic Joseph says it, the guy, since he's been there, he's main evented every NXT pay-per-view. Like, this is how AEW dropped the ball on this guy so much. Like, he's just done fantastic when he's come in. And again, like I said, the character twist where he sees Trick bleeding from the mouth, and then we get the fake the medical team out to say, Trick, no, you can't go on. Do you know what I mean? It's great story building. The body slam that he does to Trick on the steel steps looks like it absolutely sucked. Like, really harsh angle, really looked like caned. And then the low blow by Page to Williams, followed by the low blow to Williams to Page, I just thought was fantastic. It was such a good moment. But then, yeah, obviously Trick then just picks up the win, and it's like, this just felt like it was over before it even really got started. And it was like, it's almost like, do you remember the original All In? the main event with the Young Bucks, and it was like they literally powered through that main event because they were running out of airtime. This felt very similar to how that was.
Yeah, I can take that. You should have done this, by the way. You did this much better than I did on the main event. I've got to say, point out many great moments.
It's the only one I made really good notes on.
Fair play. Well, yeah, I mean, there's some good spots in this match, like you said, and I do agree with the character work from Ethan Page is fantastic. And obviously, yeah, the low blow from Trick as well. They're just hitting him back where he'd been hit previously as well. I think just a good little character beat as well for Trick. Also, just showing he can get dirty when he needs to. Need to whoop that Trick. He will do so to make sure he retains that title. Yeah, this was good stuff all around. Of course, after the match, Ridge Holland does attack Trick Williams as well. That's the beat he wants to go for. Next is the NXT Championship. Ethan Page always takes exception at first, but then says, "Look, if you can do it properly." It's almost a 2-on-1, which leads to the save from Bully Ray as well. Looks like we got a tag team match players coming for NXT at the Philadelphia ECW Arena coming in on November the 6th. Guess it's gonna be Trick and Bully against good old Ridge Holland and Ethan Page.
I'm really hoping Bully Ray turns on Trick Williams and we get Trick Williams versus Bully Ray for the NXT Championship. It's a character Bully's always wanted to get into WWE, and Vince was really against it. And I think he's got a real chance of getting it on WWE now. I think Bully Ray versus Trick Williams for the NXT title would be fantastic.
That would be awesome. That would be. I would not be against seeing it as well because it'd be so ECW as well. To have the hero come in, the former ECW original, and just like, I'm going to turn on you guys.
If they win that tag team match and then he turns on him directly after and like takes it like he's, I don't know, because that's the thing is, I don't know what gear he's going to wear. Is he going to wear Bully Ray gear? Who knows? But if he's wearing just like, I don't know, generic ring gear or Dudley Boy gear, but then he takes off and he's got a Bully t-shirt on underneath, that crowd, ECW crowd will pop hard.
They will indeed. The thing is that on both teams, there's someone that can take the fall. Bully's the one that can take the fall for their team if they want to get Ridge over. But of course, there's Ethan Page there that's probably okay to take a job now if they want to for the night. So, yeah, it's interesting to see what they will do at this point. Obviously, Dawn Marie will be part of that show as well, as Pierre's mentioned there. Is it a smart? Is it really a smart ideal? Honestly, I think so. I think the ECW hardcores are going to really appreciate it. I'm really excited to see both involved, and of course, we do know that. It'd be Jada Parker versus Lola Vice in a hardcore match as well, which I think is going to be a good one for that show as well.
Oh yeah. I thought because obviously during this show at some point, for some reason, Vic Josephs and Booker are going around the stage, and for some reason there's prop box out there that Booker opens, and Tatum Paxley's been in there since Tuesday apparently, and Ava randomly comes out with a microphone to see if she's all right, and she spins the wheel, and she now has a casket match, funnily enough, something I was crying out for on the prediction show with Wendy Chu on Tuesday. So how we don't get a casket match on Halloween Havoc, but we get it on a random NXT on Tuesday, I don't know, but I'll take it.
And if we watch the WrestleMania Vegas video, what did I say as well? We'll get them soon because they are in the video game, and now we've got one, which is great to see. So hopefully it's the start of a couple of casket matches that might just creep in. But yeah, obviously that's for this upcoming week on Tuesday. Wendy Chu against Tatum Paxley. Do you think Tatum's picking up the dub?
I think so. Like, I don't know if you've seen the results for Bound for Glory or not, but you know what I mean? It might be a case of... like I said, I don't want to really give anything away to you, but like, yeah, it's like I think Tatum needs a win, to be fair, as well, because she's been bullied immensely by Wendy Chu recently.
She has indeed. Comments. I've not seen Bound for Glory, so do us a favour. Don't. We're out of here in about 5 anyway. What's your star rating for the main event then for Trick Williams and Page?
3 3/4 again. Like I said, I think it was par with the first match. I just think it didn't have enough time.
For me, I've gone for a 3.25. I would agree with you that it didn't have enough time, and it's just a couple of nitpicks of why I didn't go the whole. But I do think it's a good match, and I think there are 3 out of 5 matches that are really fun on this show, and would say it's worth going out of your way to see. And would agree, a lot of love here for Ethan Page. Although, yeah, not a fan of the music, but I really like the music now. Really got into it.
Nah, man, it's great. It fits in perfectly.
It fits in so well, and I've got to say I've got quite into it as well. But let's do our bits then that we like to do then. OMG moment of the night.
I'm going to say that European uppercut from Oba to Tony D'Angelo through the table. I thought it was fantastic.
Do you know, it's a really good shout. For me, I am going to go for the finish of the tag team match for the women. I thought Stephanie Vaqour's what's it called? Yeah, I thought that was really, really good for the corkscrew moonsault. There we go. I wanted to say it correctly. I got it there for you. That for me was I didn't see that coming out of her locker, so I was really impressed with that. Match of the night.
I mean, dude, if I say one, you have to say the other. So I'm going to say the main event for me.
It's got to be the opener for me. Just. Women's tag was close to being in there for me as well. That is my second highest rated match of the night. So it's close there. Entrance of the night.
Ridge Holland, I really liked his new music, so I will go Ridge. I'll give him some props.
Can we say Zarya?
I wanted to say Oba, dude, because Oba does clearly have the best entrance.
I just love Oba's entrance. Just the way he dances to the ring. Yeah,
it's great.
Brilliant.
It's great.
He's awesome. Is he MVP of the night, though?
No, I'm going to say Kelani Jordan. She went through 3 matches. You know what I mean? She put on a solid display. I think it's only fair that she gets some recognition, even though she is a loser and did lose that North American Championship.
There you go. I agree. MVP of the night, Kelani Jordan by far. Final rating of Halloween Havoc out of 10, please.
I'm going to say, do you know what I mean? A 7.5. I think, like I said, it's a really good show. Was predictable in a lot of places, but otherwise, it's a really good show.
7 for me. I think it's definitely one that's worth coming out of your way to see. Absolutely, indeed. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, share with a friend, and subscribe as well. We will be leaving you in a couple of seconds' time. But just before we do, a couple of comments just to finish. OMG, moment of the night, Zara from Pierre. I love that Pierre is getting involved with all of these bits at the end of the show. It's really good to see. It's not the first time we're seeing it. I want everyone to do that. It'd be awesome to see everyone go do these and join in with us and give their take on it. Match of the night, opener for Pierre. Entrance of the night is Fatal Influence and Zarya. Fair play. MVP going to Oba Femi and Fatal Influence for their entrance. Fair enough. And giving the show a 7 out of 10. Fantastic. But that's all from us. NXT, anything you want to share before we leave today?
I did, like I said, it's a busy one tonight. So yeah, getting through Halloween Havoc 95 and now Halloween Havoc 2024. It's been a busy one.
It has been a busy one, dude. This is our second stream of the night. So if you missed the first one, go and check it out now. And of course, if you're watching this a little bit later, it's popping on the screen right now. Join us for Crown Jewel predictions tomorrow, and we'll see you for the next video. Take care. Have yourselves a good one. Enjoy the rest of yourselves. Enjoy it raw.